I mean, mine was quite, life-changing and big, having lost my dad pretty suddenly to a brain tumour. But I think it depends how you deal with it. Like, these things, they're not inevitable, they're not always going to happen, but when it does happen, it's definitely how you approach it and how you deal with it after that shapes your life.
I think that really turned you into something special. I think you really used that situation. Can you give me the influences, what it was, what really put you into that mindset, right, I want to do this now, and I want to do it right, I want to do it proper, elite level?
I remember coming off the course and saying to my mum and my brother who were there, I'm never doing that again, that was so horrible, and I just couldn't think of anything worse.
Right, everyone, good to have you all again, hopefully joining us for another episode of the Game Within the Game podcast. I am absolutely delighted to bring you this one. He's a great lad, a great lad who I've met for, known for a long, long time, all right? He's a brilliant friend of mine, and he's really, really changed his life around as well. So that lad is George Oxley. Good to see you, brother. Good to have you, man. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Just knocking the mic over.
So, just give us a little open up, obviously, on like what your journey's about, if you can, and a little bit more about your life, because obviously I know you very well. But the main thing being, obviously, you've really devoted your life now to health and fitness. Obviously, that's something we'll come into later through the podcast. But I just wanted to give a sort of round up, if you can, of like your early days, obviously growing up as a kid. Probably we met as well a little bit. And
where to start? I mean, early days as a kid. Where do you want to know from? What sort of age?
So I would say sort of from.
So when we met, we'll go from where we met.
From where we met, yeah.
So when we met in school, I think we were like year 10 for me, year 11 for you, maybe a little bit younger actually.
Yeah, I think it was.
And I think it was just house parties. I think that's just like was the normal way to meet people.
DJing
really.
and giving it some.
Yeah. I think it weren't actually going to start DJing then. I were in band then.
Yeah, a lot earlier.
So, but I remember, I think we just used to chill at lunch together, and then we started going to a few house parties together, and then I don't know, maybe riding scooters or something like that.
Yeah,
normal.
I do remember that early doors. Yeah, like obviously going out with you, just doing all sorts of random stuff. But just sort of like I want you to just give us a little bit of a process as well, if you can, of like sort of like I suppose what your habits were when you was younger. When you was in school, obviously growing up, like you said there, if you want to go into that, obviously about your band and things like that, and that sort of era, that'd be great. Because obviously I know he was into sort of your music and stuff like that. So
the music side of my life, that all started with the band. So I started in the Carousel, that's what we called ourselves, and we got that name from because it was the only shop in town what used to serve us cigarettes. we were like 15, 16, so we had to come all the way to town on to try and get some fags. Not that it were me, changed man. But yeah, so we were in this band, and that was taking off through school, and then we come out of school, carried it on. We did a few good gigs. We played O2 Academy a few times. We played Leadmill, Plug, all those venues, loads of venues around Sheff, and had some great fun with it. So me and Tom, we're still really good friends, and Elliot, who was the guitarist. James I still see every now and again. So still keep in touch with all them boys, and the music thing just sort of carried on for me. I was the drummer in the band, so I've always sort of had like a bit of an ear for like I don't know, beats and tunes and all that. And then when the band sort of fizzled out a little bit, I got into DJing, and I remember going and seeing DJ EZ at Leeds Fest and thinking, oh, that looks so sick. And I got my iPad, and I had like what are those apps? What you have the little sliders and stuff. It was like DJ decks on the iPad, but it was so crap basically. But I thought I'd have a little go at it, and then I got my first decks when like one Christmas or something, and then I just started releasing mixes, and then it stuck, and then one thing led to another. Started getting into bass line, going out. Just the normal Sheffield thing to do. I think living in tanks, spent many a night in tanks.
No, not our proudest moments. But no, I think that leads nicely onto sort of where I want to go with this. Then is obviously you were into your music quite a lot. Then obviously when you was younger, obviously that led you onto DJ. And I always remember you as a mate, and always been the one like when we went out, we always stayed out till after o'clock, always going mad, always hammered, we're all busy. But I think it's good to touch on that, because obviously today is going to be about how your life's evolved and things like that. With obviously all that nightlife, I think if we can admit that, probably looking at your life back then, you did make some choices, didn't you, where it was sort of like probably not the best idea to go down. That probably lost yourself a little bit as well. So even though it was, so fun and, obviously with your mates and it's energetic, but it can easily carry on too long, can't it? And I think, going into that sort of like, I suppose back then, and looking at that as a storyline, can you sort of see yourself really have evolved from that point already? Like from when you was,
Yeah, I mean, when I started going out, and it just thought my life got all to do with partying. That's what it was. I was just like obsessed with going out partying every weekend. But that sort of come hand in hand with the sort of job that I was doing at the time. I was DJing, running nightclub events, and I had some of the best nights of my life. But it's not an healthy, sustainable lifestyle at all, because you're just in a habit of going out, drinking, staying out till after clock. Next day you wake up, you feel rubbish, you eat like crap, and then the cycle sort of continues because you get back into it maybe like with Tuesday, because I used to run a Tuesday night down at Vipers.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And then it'd start again, the cycle would start again. And then before I knew it, I'd put loads of weight on, and I was just like sleep deprived and over partied and all the rest of it. And it didn't really hit me at first. I was just like, everyone were doing it. So you just... that just was the thing to do.
Yeah.
So, but then there come a point where I was like, oh my God, like I'm probably not the healthiest I have been. And that's when I got into running and stuff, which was been a slow, gradual.
Yeah. So I'm going to say, what was the turning point then from, obviously, I know, like I say, I think this is a big thing as well, because obviously young teens, it's hard, isn't it? When you make that transition to an adult, obviously you find all these things out, going out and things like that. And I think when you get into them early 20s, you get to a point where you're like, some people, I mean, I'm quite fortunate that I suppose in my life, I've always been really dedicated to what I want to do. Again, not to say that's not a good thing if people haven't. But like, what was the turning point for you to go, okay, well, maybe this is going a little bit too far, or I want to devote my life to something? Why and why fitness and running? Why would that be a thing? I think that leads nicely onto your family influence as well. Talk to me about that. What changed it all for you?
I don't think it was like an instant moment. I think it was just one gradual long change where I got into running because I live next to Rother Valley in Sheffield, and I just thought it's an extra something to do. My granddad was a runner; he was a really fast runner. So every time I used to go out and go for a run, he'd always I'd always go around and chat to him because they live next door to us. And I hated it at first. Like, I hated the idea of running. I just thought it were boring. Honestly, I thought I couldn't think of it worse at the time, especially when everything that you do in your nightlife is exciting and fun, and running's just like seemed mundane and an effort and just like, what's point? Yeah, exactly. And obviously we're in Sheffield, UK. It's not exactly the nicest place to run around, is it?
Not the most motivating weather.
So many hills, but so it was just like a gradual transition into getting more into fitness and coming out of the habit a little bit more of going out and just like sort of finding that thing in me, which means that like I want something else from my life other than just this cycle. I want to feel good about something. I want to feel like I want a purpose. I think at that point I didn't know that anything about purpose or mindset or anything like that. I was just going out running and it felt good. And I was getting sort of kudos from my granddad, who were a runner, and I was going home and I think I feel all right now. I've earned my drink tonight.
Definitely. I think the biggest thing though as well though, so I know all through experience as well for myself is, with running, it is very hard, I think, for people to maintain as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I think it's such a credit to yourself that you've built yourself from, them bad habits and things like that. And hopefully we can get some, pictures on the screen as well when we do the short reels about what you did look like. But like the development of obviously what you've done, and sticking to it is very tough. And I think you know that as well. Because obviously we'll go into your coaching as well and what you're doing with your business and things like that. Because I think that's a very special thing that you've not just done this in your own life, but you're now helping a lot more others do that as well. Obviously me included, you've helped me with my business. You developed that as well.
Coaching you for a little bit.
Of course, and the thing is, like, we've been able to do that and put that story, what you've gone through, into an actual plan of business as well. I think is very special. And that's something that I feel like I've done because I loved it so much.
Do you know what it was? It was like, once you know that you can achieve something, it sort of unlocks something in your head that says, oh my God, I'm actually able to do these things. Like before, I think the thing is, we started running, you don't think you're capable. Loads of people don't think they're capable. I could never do that.
Why is that?
Marathon distance, I could never.
Why do you
I think it's just because it's so unknown, and like, but I think because it's becoming more mainstream now, and loads more people are doing it, it's proving to the sort of general population that anyone can actually do it. And that is true. I genuinely do think, unless you've got some sort of condition that enables you, that anyone can actually train for something hard like that. And once you do train something hard and you sort of unlock that thing in your head that says, oh, actually, I am capable of this, then that opens so many more doors in your head. Because it's not just about running. And I think this is what people get confused about. Running and doing hard things makes you realise that it overlaps into other areas of your life. Yeah. So like that sort of grit and determination of, oh, I've just done that, but I've worked hard for it. Yeah, means that you can do other stuff, business ventures. I don't know, all this other stuff. So
that sense of achievement, isn't it? That's what I think I'm very relative to you about as well. Is that I like to always be looking at something to achieve, or if I've done that, I want to do something else. Like we said, I think I spoke to Danny about this. It can be a bad habit as well because you do get quite obsessive. But at the same time, having that I think is very important for people who are successful. Like you've always got to strive for more and things like that. And I just want to go on to your running a little bit as well, of obviously about your times and things, because I think that's something that I know you that you're quite obsessive over, but in a good way. So obviously when you first started, I've put here like in 2022, you obviously got you got a 3.5-hour marathon. Is that right? Around 3.5 hours. 3:45.
So
so that was quite a long time, obviously for someone like you now. Obviously, compared to where you're at now.
Yeah. So the reason why I did that marathon was because my granddad was my biggest like influence on running and stuff. He passed in I think it's May of 22.
Right.
And by that point, I'd only run like a half marathon or something like that. And I remember thinking, I need to do something big now. I need to do a statement thing. And the marathon to me at that point was just like, I just couldn't get my head around it. It was way too far because I'd just done a half marathon and I was dead after that. So I thought doing that again is like,
nah, I'm alright.
So So I just got in some training with it and just thought, I'll give it a good go. Raise some money for Parkinson's UK, which is what my granddad passed from. And the marathon day come around quick and I was absolutely dying by mile 21. I did it all wrong. So what I did was I got loads of Lucozade Sport. I put it on one of those what are they called, like water packs. And I just wore it for the whole marathon. And it's just like the most stupidest thing to do now. I would never do that now. But I remember going up to like mile 20 and thinking, I'm flying here, I'm flying. And then boom, you hit that wall and you're like, I can't run any further. But dragging me through the last 6 miles, it were horrendous.
So obviously from that moment then, if we can just sort of tune your head back to that. Obviously you've just completed that marathon. And obviously, like you say, you're probably not at your fittest at this point still.
No,
you've hit a wall, things like that. Obviously,
I thought I was though. I've reached my peak. I can't get better than this. Yeah.
So from that moment when you finished, obviously, I know, like I say, obviously, condolences to your granddad, and you've had that situation. That. Like, what sort of fused you then from that point then to start really taking it more serious? Because obviously, you're not anywhere near them times now. You're absolutely flying, aren't you? I mean, I don't know if you can just give me a reminder of like your marathon time now. What is it? What's your best time?
2:58
so
now.
That's like, what, you're taking off nearly 45 minutes, 50 minutes off your time, which is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And that's in such a short amount of time as well, isn't it still? Like, we're talking 2025, 3 years ago. So it's not a long time at all, is it, to make them big changes? So from, like I said, when you hit that finish line, I suppose, when you went home, reflected, why did you commit to this so much? Because I think that's an important topic, I think, as well, for what's happening in your life. Like I say, your granddad was an influence, but also, talking about, if you can, the charity stuff that you did, and obviously losing your dad, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think that really turned you into something special. I think you really used that situation. And this is what I want this, obviously, to be about, is people who can use bad situations, because I feel like I'm a product of that, of like, where you've not had the, I suppose, always the best situations and circumstances. What did that do? Doesn't have to just be obviously what happened with your dad, but also what was can you give me the influences, what it was, what really put you into that mindset of, right, I want to do this now, and I want to do it right, I want to do it proper.
Do you know what it was? I think when I finished that first marathon, I remember coming off the course and saying to my mum and my brother who were there, I'm never doing that again. That was so horrible. And I just couldn't think of anything worse. And then you settle down from it, you have a week away, and you think, but maybe I could just beat it a little bit. Maybe I could just have done this different. And then it's like the cycle starts. And this cycle, what I'm sort of in now and what most runners are in now, is like you're always wanting to progress yourself.
Of course, yeah.
Because you're always thinking, I could have done that. And I could just, what if I just tweak this? And what if I just do that? You're always wanting to better yourself. But yeah, coming away from that marathon, it taught me lots and lots of lessons on distance running and just with mindset in life, really, because it were some dedication, because I'd never done something that big before. But then going from that to like, it feels like it's such like a long, gradual, like, I don't know, happening really to get to from that point where I am.
Because you're not really gonna be able to just better them times. Like, you're not gonna chop 50 minutes
it's
off
just
in a month, are you? You're gonna have to, you have to stay consistent. But I think that's what I'm saying with the way we are, and I think that, you know, people, I don't want to say like us, like I'm some sort of hierarchy, but like the way that we think, it's always, I think people struggle to understand how we get where we are, right? As in, for me, for my business with RH Private Coaching, obviously having my own venue, and people are like, oh God, you've got a great...
Like if someone had said to you in school, like, oh, you're going to have that warehouse that you've got and all the people that come.
I wouldn't have even thought about that then. Do you know what I mean? And like, but now, like, obviously I'm like, yeah, well, I deserve it because of all these little steps, because people look at it like, if I just put it in sort of like a visual context, like from getting to here to here, people think they just got to jump there. And it's more of a step and step, isn't it? And that's where, again, like if you look at even just that from marathon time of 3:45 to like 2 hours, that's not... just a one leap jump. It's a very load of little jumps.
It's very
isn't it?
tiny. The increments are very small, and it's like week by week, month by month. You literally just got to stack your days, stack your weeks, and just you don't see running is one of them games definitely where it is such a long game. Like if you try and cheat it, you'll just end up injured.
Of course, yeah.
So I think it has just been a long gradual improvement, but that's what's made it so enjoyable, because you can't just improve like that. Like you've got to put time and effort into it. But the main thing is, and I say this to all my clients, is you've got to enjoy it. Like if you don't enjoy it, you're probably gonna fall off or something, because you've got to enjoy the journey more than you actually do the training sometimes, because that's when, you know, motivation doesn't always stay.
The hard days are the ones that make you, aren't they? And that's what I always say to my players as well. It's the ones where you know you're coming here to put that work in. I'm sure your clients are the same. It's like these dark days when it's horrible winter outside. They're the ones where if you're going in front of other people, that's what's going to put you ahead.
I think a lot about running coaching, or just coaching in general, is talking people around a lot. People get in their own heads about running and times, and I'm not feeling myself, or my legs are knackered, or you know I can't be able to do that run, or I need to switch my week around. And they just need someone to just be like, look, let's look at your training from a bird's eye view and just see what you've achieved, see what trajectory we're on. Everything's fine, just don't get in your own head. And I do it myself. Like I get in my own head so much about my training sometimes, and you know, I throw paddies and hissy fits, but it all comes back around on race day. You end up all right.
Yeah, and just going into that thing, so obviously I wanted to go into like sort of your mindset a little bit as well. So I know we spoke there, and I think that's a really good point to make about that sort of step-by-step process. What is it, what fuels you to still stay motivated then as well? Because obviously it's very easy to say, oh yeah, I'm motivated today, and then tomorrow you're not. Yeah. Right? Obviously I think the word motivation is probably not the right word. It's discipline, isn't it? And putting that in. Yeah. But what made you very disciplined and want to pick, I suppose, running and fitness to develop yourself even more? Why not something else?
I think at this point I am just genuinely enjoying it.
Right.
Like I love it so much. Like the sport, the people around the sport, what it's done for me mentally, what it's done for me physically, the people I've met, the opportunities that I've got through it, and like with posting on Instagram and coaching and stuff like that. Like it is just such a rewarding thing to get into. I think if you get into any sort of sport, it is rewarding because you just do meet people and, you know, it changes your life. So I think that alone is enough to keep me motivated to keep going.
So it's like keep saying, it's a sense of achievement, isn't it?
Excitement as well. Like, you know, like if you're playing football or something like that, there's always a game to look forward to. Like it was with me, there's always a race to look forward to. Yeah. And then after that race, we might go out for drinks. I might meet some people at that race who I know through Instagram, or do you know what I mean?
Definitely,
like,
So you built a kind of community, haven't you? Friends around running.
And
that's giving you like that sort of, again, even more purpose, and you're like, oh, I actually enjoy this.
And massive shout outs to PGRS and Fix Up Running Club.
Of course,
they've been like,
I've done a PGRS run in their class. Cam's a nice lad, isn't he, as well, who does it also.
Who does Fix
class.
Up.
So just going into, obviously, like I say, a bit more of your running stuff then as well. So just talk to us about some, obviously, opportunities you've had. I know you've just come back off running one, I think it was through TUI, wasn't it, who you worked for?
Yeah, so it wasn't actually with TUI, like I didn't actually collaborate with them on this last Palma half marathon, but I went out to Palma and ran the Palma half marathon in, Mallorca.
Yeah. And
that was great fun. But I'm in talks with him at the minute to hopefully get some sort of collaboration with him on next one. Fingers crossed that pays off, but we'll see. We'll see.
Just going off that as well, obviously talking to you about your work, 'cause obviously some people won't know why I've said TUI there, but obviously you work in aviation, don't you? Obviously that's your job as well. Is it in the summer? Just you do it in the summer?
So how my contract works, I am PPY, so permanent part year. So I fly in the summer, and then during the winter, for the last 2 winters, I've been part of the recruitment team for TUI. And then this winter, I've just decided to do the coaching, just try and grow the business. And Brad Thompson from the Fit Dads podcast, he's my coach at the minute, and he's helping me optimize some systems and sort some things out to hopefully get the business to a really solid place when I do go back flying, so it's not too overwhelming. Because this year, when I was doing cabin crew and coaching and trying to have a social life and all the rest of it and training myself.
Not easy.
Mate, it's so stressful. My head were about to pop.
Yeah. Well, I want to go into that as well a little bit more about, obviously, again, because obviously this being about mindset as much as possible is, I think it's mad how like you can still do all that with all the times of flying and things like that, you know, with your cabin crew stuff. How do you structure, I suppose, your days, your meals and things like that? So I remember like seeing videos of like when you put them on your Instagram of like taking them all in tubs and warming them up on the plane and things like that.
It's such an extra faff.
Like, because you're staying up till like after o'clock in the morning and then having to
sometimes
get up,
not even sleeping.
Getting 2-3 hours kip and then you're going up training again. It's like, it's mad dedication how you've done it, but you've obviously really devoted your life to this idea of it, haven't you?
I think with flying, like, because you're in different altitudes and you're in different time zones, I think if you keep a good fitness like routine, then it sort of keeps you ticking over. Yeah. Like if you lent too much into sleep deprivation and, you know, like, oh, I can't be able to do anything when you're down route or whatever, then you just feel worse. Like it's better to get up and do something and just, you know, like, just, I don't know, just get your body moving to make you feel a bit better than slumping down into it sometimes. But yeah, it definitely takes a toll on your body when you're sleep deprived and when you're flying through different time zones. But do you know what? It's great fun. I like nothing more than just being on board, chatting to families, you know, just making their days and just having a good time with it. It's just a fun social job. Some days you go and you just feel like you're on a day out with your mates. That's it.
And you get to see all the world as well, don't you? I think that's what I'm most jealous about.
Bits of it, decent bits of it.
Fair bit, to be fair. But I also remember like when you went on some trips and you've took like your mum on the plane, haven't you? And then had like a little mini holiday with your mum and your brother and stuff. So like that's mega. Like just that's the bit I'm jealous about. You just going away different places. Wow,
it's
part of your job. Like sweet.
It is good fun, but I feel like once you've seen these places what we stay in, I feel like you've sort of seen them. But they are like, I'm not complaining at all. They are very nice. But it's not like BA because they go everywhere like San Francisco and all these beautiful places. But we just get like nice beach resorts. We call the Bucket and Spade airline basically. It's family beach resorts.
That's where you're going all the time. So just staying on work then a little bit. So I know you've sort of plugged your business already, which I want you to talk about if you can. So obviously going into the coaching, I think this is important to speak about. Obviously being a coach myself for forever. That's all I know. Why did you choose to not just do this for yourself then, and why now have you gone into coaching? Why do you think that was the right time, I suppose? Because it was last year you started, didn't you? And you started last year, you've gradually built it up, and now I think you're at a point where I've put here, you've got 14 athletes, haven't you? Or people. What sort of made you do that then? So why did you want to put that journey and again attach it to your already mad schedule and like help others as well? So
chunk something else in. So when I used to be coached by Emily Simpson, who was a sick 800-metre runner, and she taught me so much.
She runs for Great Britain, doesn't she?
I think she might have done, at some point, I
remember seeing her like with all the proper stuff on and like running in.
Yeah, she's killing it. So she was my coach, and that was when I was like training for my sub-3 and stuff like that. And that taught me a lot about structuring workouts and, you know, how to do different training days, because before that I was just running because I just enjoyed it and I was just sort of hazarding, I guess. Then I sort of come to realise that there's loads of different elements to this running game and strength and fitness and all that sort of stuff. And I got to a point where I thought, I was giving advice out to people and I thought, I could probably give this a go. So I just thought I'll study and get my personal training certificate and stuff. So that's what I did. And I've just been helping people hopefully get faster ever since, and just it's just so fulfilling because I understand what it's like to go from like a place where I were at to where I am at now, and I still don't feel like I am the top of the top, like best of the best. I'm always looking up to people like above me, but I know what it's like to go from that to that, and that is enough knowledge to pass on to help people to also do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think a lot of people just want that accountability, and if there's anything that I can do to help people on that path and help people achieve and get that same sense of like achievement that I got and that same purpose that I got, then I'll do it because it's so fulfilling and it gives you so much purpose, and it's definitely a massive improvement on your life. Like to say what my life like was before, to say what it's like now with you know racing and running and all the rest of it. It's it's night and day really. And if I can help others do that, then that's really fulfilling for me.
Sure, yeah. I think that's the main thing, isn't it? Like using your journey as like, you know, a catalyst, if you like, to get these other people to be better people as well. And I think that's one of the easiest things you can do when you know you've gone through it yourself and you've developed yourself into
just
this
stuff that you learn over time.
You're a great example for them people as well. Do you know what I mean? Because you're obviously you're not just doing it yourself, but you're upping your time.
That comes at a cost sometimes because, like, I always feel like I've got to hold that standard, and that. If you ever slip, or say if I have a big boozy night out, like I've just been to Faro on one of my mates' stag do's. Oh my God, we're having like 4 pints for breakfast. And I'm thinking, if my clients knew what I were up to on this stag do, I wouldn't have any clients anymore. So basically, what I'm saying is, I feel like I've got to withhold this standard now. Which adds another pressure, which does add a bit of stress. But, I mean, it does keep you in check, and I still do enjoy my training. So
I think it's good to have that, though. Like I say, it's the accountability, isn't it? It's not just you preaching something and then you're doing totally opposite. I'm sure, you know, having a few nights out, mate, they won't be punishing
Everything
you
in moderation. Like, I'm not one of them
who's going back to bed and just like talking to yourself, oh God, you're such a bad person. Beating yourself up. But no, honestly, I think you've got to have that balance, and I think that's important. Obviously, with my life, very similar to yours in a way now, where we're both coaching other people, you know, and at the same time, you've got to have that bit of time for yourself as well, and also just enjoy life a little bit, because it's so easy, isn't it, just to be absolutely, you know, a bit of a freak of nature, just going for everything. I mean, I feel like I've gone through them phases. I'm sure you have. You know, like when you're chasing times, like, God, all my life just got to be about that, and then if you have missed an hour's training, you're beating yourself up a little bit.
This is something what I'm coming to learn, especially around the back end of this year, where like literally everything in moderation, but as well, like sometimes you just do need to just let your hair down and just forget your training, take yourself out of it, and just, you know, just relax a little bit. And it is hard when, you know, you live such a fast-paced life, as do I, and when you've always got something to do or something in back of your head going, oh, there's that little job, or there's some, you know, it's hard to just slow down and just shut it all off, but it does benefit you in the long run. Like, I've just been to Valencia and I tried to do as little work as possible, and I come back and I was like, oh my God, I'm fresh, I'm like a new man. Do you know what I mean?
Sure,
my brain's had a reset.
That's, again, like touching on that just from my point of view as well, like that's something I've certainly learned to do, is try and get more balance in my life, because when you do go gung go, and I suppose, you know, when I think early days is where you actually put the graft in, and you kind of want to, because your purpose is like, right, I want to get to this point. But now you've done it for, I suppose, a decent length of time, you know, 3-4 years of training at a, you know, pretty high intensity, aren't you? You can get a little bit more understanding of like, right, I just need to get some sort of schedule and structure in place, and you can then add these little things in where you're like, oh well, I can have a few days off or whatnot. Do you know what I mean?
You've got to.
You have to, because especially now when you're coaching, I think people don't realise as well, just going into coaching a little bit more, is how much burden that can put on you, because you're not just responsible for yourself, you're actually responsible for other people. And that's something I mean, you know, I've got pretty big operation going on now. We're obviously having the indoor centre, even still with 14 clients, that's a lot of lives that you're dealing with, having different foods for each person, you know, different training plans, different goals. You're, in a sense, responsible, because they're paying you a fee to get there as well. That's something I always say. I actually said to me players, I'll go, look, your parents are paying for you to be here, and I've got then a job to do, to go, you need good coaching, and then I want you to give it me back. So it is a lot of pressure. What people don't probably see from coaching as well is that you've got to really perform, haven't you, as well?
But we can only do so much. Like,
of course,
we can only help the best that we can, and we can give the knowledge that we've got. And at the end of the day, we just provide that accountability for that next person to go away and take the action. And, you know, if they don't want to do it, then you can't force them to. But yeah, you can be a nice reminder. And
just so I'll stay on that, then I want to talk about this lad, because I know we both know him well. Works for me. And also one of your clients. So Ross, I think you'll like this shout out as well. So just want to talk about Ross. And obviously, you've been coaching Ross for a while now. Obviously, I met Ross through yourself anyway, and actually you recommended him to me as a great lad. And, you know, meeting Ross, I think he's a very unique character, isn't he? He's very, like, you're really likable, you know, like I can really get on with Ross into a great, you know, and I think he's another one who's changed his life around, but he does really idolise yourself, and I think that's really good from, you know, just from a friend's perspective, but I think it's really good because it shows a product of what sort of you've done to put your life's, you know, skills and what you've learned over your process. Ross, I feel like, has really captured that, and he's a very good runner himself, isn't he?
I think Ross's mindset came from his boxing. I think I've just sort of added his running in there.
For sure. Not trying to, like, you know, downplay his own mindset, but I mean, as in, when he's come on board with you as well, he's really sort of like found this love for running. because he did have that love for boxing, and again, you've got to be a mega disciplined.
Well, I remember when Ross first got in touch with me, we used to go down to track together, Woodburn Road, and we just used to just do some quick 400-meter laps and stuff, and that was just to get him fit for his boxing. And then it sort of led on to him stepping away from boxing a little bit because I couldn't do boxing. Like, that scares me. So for him to do that is, respect to him. But I think he just likes the grind. He likes the fitness side. He likes the evolution of, his progress and stuff like that. So yeah, obviously with running, you're not going to get punched in the face 10 times. So
you've got to be a bit nuts for that. It's like a goalkeeper for footy. I just think, why would you want to do that?
So we were just running together quite a lot, and then I can't remember his first goal, what I coached him for, but he had X race to do or whatever, and I was just getting into coaching at the time, and he jumped on as a client, and then I coached him to his 255, which I was so chuffed.
Just put that here.
So chuffed about, because we were so stressed. Like, that was my first client that I've coached to a marathon, so that for me was big. Right. Not just for Ross, for me as well. So I was like, I need to do this right. Do you know what I mean? So, and I was away in Palma when he ran it, and I remember like refreshing. I was in contact with his cousin or something, and I was refreshing Instagram after I'd finished my race, like waiting for his time to come through. And then I rang his cousin. I was like, what time he's got? What time's he got? And he told me, 2:55. He's beat me by 3 minutes. I was fuming. No, I was buzzing through. So I was. I went straight on my stories. I was like, oh my God, picking him up, because I would just like, thank God for that, because all that week he were stressing about he might have been ill or, so we had to go through all that rigmarole. But there's a thing called paranoia when you're just in the weeks leading up to your marathon, you feel like you're going to lose all your fitness. Because basically you stop running, you tape. We don't stop running, but you taper, so your mileage comes down. So your legs get a little bit fresher. So, you can get a bit in your own head in them last 2 weeks. So them last 2 weeks were me just talking to him and just being like, everything's fine, don't worry. He's like, what if I'm ill? What if I don't do this? I'm like, it's fine, don't stress, you're all good. So anyway, he smashed it, So we're going to go head-to-head in Barca, because we're both doing Barcelona Marathon.
Like coach v client. Did you learn a lot from that sort of situation then with Ross? Because I know, like I said, just talking about him, just more about your coaching, I suppose, like with him being one of your first clients, like, again, what sort of skills and sort of ideas did you develop from having him as your first client? Because he's a very unique lad, and he's a great lad as well. And I think he's a perfect client as well to not just teach, but learn from. I think I always said, like, players I have who were, from my football coaching, who were really, good learners, the developers, they want to get better. You don't just learn, you don't just teach them, you learn yourself, because you're taking so much from just their attitude to how they learn, and you're like, oh, well, how they've done things is really good as well. And then you can tweak your coaching to go, because you're giving them 100%, you're giving them responsibility and things like that, and their response back is always in the most best way, if that makes sense. So did you learn anything from that process? Has it helped you then with, I suppose, I don't want to call any of your clients out, any more awkward ones, and like, how do you deal with that sort of variation there?
I think it exposed a lot to me in terms of like mindset and mentality and how people can go through the motions. Like, obviously I know about going through different parts of your training and what bits get hard when you don't want to do a session and all that sort of stuff. But to be talking someone else through it up, like in a marathon block, it gave me a good insight into what someone else who's not got my brain is feeling like when they're going through training. So I did learn a lot about just about how to structure personalized workouts, and how to structure, like, how to tone it down a bit sometimes when it needs to be, and how to chop and change it when it needs to. And I think just being versatile with your approach, and like, it's not one size fits all at all. You've got to be flexible. So just learning a lot from, and how he responds to his training and stuff like that as well. Like, what sessions are making him feel good, what sessions he don't like, what runs he does like, where can we fit in a feel good session to give him that mental boost, all that sort of stuff. There's so much to it. But it was definitely a good insight and an ideal client to have a first marathon build, because they were pretty much, I think he probably missed maybe 4 sessions out of a 16-week block. That's brilliant.
Like, really dedicated, like you say. So
and it just goes to show, like, if you do the block properly, like Ross did,
it makes the difference.
It pays off.
And I think that's a nice win for you as well, though, isn't it? Because you've shown obviously there that whatever you've set him in that 60, I'm sure obviously it's very detailed. it's worked for you. So like going off that as well, how did that feel?
It were a big weight off my shoulders, I think, because I was like, oh, thank God.
Did it help you with belief? And I suppose it's turned you into a bit more
I definitely suffer with imposter syndrome a little bit. Like
we all do, don't we?
Yeah, because there's people out there who are a lot faster than me, who have much more technical sessions than me, who put lots of different things in the training than I do. I keep it pretty basic and structured, but I think I'm better at talking people around on the mental side of things, and just being there for people as a coach and understanding the whole journey, and all the mental side that comes with that.
Going on to imposter syndrome, because I actually mentioned that in my first podcast quite a lot. Kind podcaster who interviewed me, Luke, he mentioned it, and he said, "Is it quite, is it a regular thing what you see in people?" And I think it's one of the most biggest hellbacks for people, isn't it? That they are like their own worst enemy all the time, and I like I say, you've been through it. I 1,000% have, and you always think that you're not sort of achieving things. So just on that alone, I mean, if you want to reference running, you can do, but like, how do you deal with that? So like, what is it? Syndrome. If it comes at you, let's just say the example, it comes at you, what do you do to deal with it, like day to day? Is there certain things what creep up more often?
Yeah, like when I did that shoot with Everlast the other day, and I was thinking, because in my head, I'm still that lad, do you know what I mean, from school, who's like overweight and unfit and going out partying.
Big mop hair, playing his drums.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I don't see myself as an athlete or that. So to make that transition into sort of forcing myself to see myself like that a bit more has been quite hard. But I think that is what keeps you improving as well, because you always feel like you're not almost worthy of it. And I'm not saying that's how I feel like all the time.
I think the word you're looking for, and I think that what I'm going to say is you're grounded, aren't you? You're grounded in what you are as a person, your structure and the way you are. Now, I want to go back to obviously talking to you about your family in a minute, but like, that I think is a big part of it. Your mum, obviously the influence from your dad, your granddad, your nan. Like, I mean, even the idea of like living next door to me, I think is class. Like the fact that you can just nip door to your nan. But you're like, you have got a really good bond, and you're a family person, and you're a good friend to people. And I think that at the same time, thank you. And that at the same time though keeps you grounded to not think you're above everyone else. And I always have that thing where I say, not one person I meet, whether they're a pro footballer or whether they've just started playing football, there's no difference in them two. And I think you've got that same level of thinking, whether you meet, I don't know, top end runner compared to just your average person who wants to just lose a bit of weight. You wouldn't look at the two and go, well, I should give you more appreciation than them. And that is one of the biggest things what absolutely winds me up sick, is that people do that.
I think because with this sport, it can be very humbling sometimes. So when the times when you feel like you're flying, you might have a race or a session and it'll knock you for 6 and you think, well, I'm not as good as I thought I was when I first started. So having that thing that always keeps you grounded like that, and it does help, because, and especially in the running community, I think everyone gets it. Everyone's super sound. Like with the run clubs and stuff, like everyone understands how hard running is and what it takes to do X, Y, and Z. And because everyone gets it, everyone's dead friendly, because everyone's grounded in them sort of communities. Does that make sense?
Of course it does, yeah. The difficulty side of things is obviously, that's what I mean, that people probably lose out on training for running, I think, in the first few weeks. The fact that you've got to sustain it is very tough, isn't it? Because like I say, it's blessed with injuries, you've got all the training in regards to sort of like your nutrition and things like that. It's not a very, and especially at the level that you're doing it at, I think is very tough, because it's literally like you're trained to be an athlete, and essentially that's the hard
bit
bit,
off athletes.
No, I know, but I think your direction is that way, isn't it? You want to get to that point, I think, and I think that's where, the toughness comes in, because like anything at the top level of sport, or heading in that direction, let's call it then, is always hard. And it's always got a lot of sacrifice, and that's something I think,
I think that's what happens, like when you get, the faster you get, the harder it gets to get faster. So like the more sacrifices you've got to make. So like, it's like finding them little 1% now. When you first start running, the progress is quite quick, and that's really addictive, because it rewards you fast. But when you get to like a really good standard, it's hard to get faster, because you've really got to push and really got to find everything.
So a bit of an in-depth question then on that then. So just because obviously that running's not my strong point, obviously, but just knowing your mindset and how you work, what happens then, let's say, when you've had a run what's not as fast as your previous one? How does that feel for you? 'Cause I think that's something, I'm not
Do you mean like a race, or do you mean
Yeah, so let's just say, for example, that your half marathon, you've hit, your 2-hour mark that you're at? Your half, is it?
With the half, it's 1:18.
Half's 1:18, sorry. So if you, let's say you'd run a 1:18 and then the next time you did it, you'd do a 1:20.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of different variables. So there's the course, there's the wind, there's how you're feeling on day. There's so many things. Let's just say
mentally that you've, sorry, not mentally,
so
but
like how do I feel after?
Yeah. That's what I mean. How do you deal with that? Because I think that's one of the hard things, isn't it? When you don't perform at the level that you think you should. And that's where the imposter syndrome is even harder, isn't it? So what's your reason? How do you then come back from that? Because obviously, like you say, you're having these bigger wins when you're starting off the journey. How are you motivating? Let's even say like with Ross's situation. How are you motivating?
You can either see it as fed up, I'm just going to toss this off and walk away, or you can see it as right, I'm going to take a step back, enjoy whatever I'm doing today and what I've just raced and stuff, and have a drink and whatever, relax. And then go back into it maybe a week later and go, right, what went wrong? What can I do different? And look at it from a bird's eye view. Like, if you have one bad race, it does not define you at all. Like, I've had a couple of bad races. Sheffield Half Marathon this year was a terrible race for me. I mean, other people will be like, what? You still ran a decent time. But for me, I just felt rubbish on that race. Yeah. And I come away from it and I was fuming at myself. And then I was just like, well, what can I do now? It just made me want to get back into it even harder. And you can make that decision. Yeah, you can make that decision whether you're just going to be like, I'm annoyed at myself and just, I
think this fits nicely, though, we're going into now your dad. Because I've got a quote here from what your dad said. It says, no problem can withstand the assault of sustained thinking.
Yeah.
It's very good, that, from what you just said. So everything you just said there without me saying that is pretty much just what he's told you.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good thing to come back to. So no problem can withstand the assault of sustained thinking. So if you can, what does that mean to you then?
So my dad was, it was a very sort of like intelligent man, you could say. And it was always, it was always like wanting to figure out things and figure out new ways of doing things. And it was literally, it is that quote. It was that quote. Like it just plug away at something and try his best to figure things out, and he'd win in end. He'd always win, and that mindset for me, I didn't actually realize it at the time, probably growing up with him, because when you're around someone like day in day out, you sort of take it for granted. But now he's gone, I reflected so much on who he was as a person, what his mindset was, and everything about him. And I've discovered so much more about him now than I didn't actually know that when he was alive, really, if I'm being honest about it. So, I mean, it's I've tried to incorporate that into my life. Like, whenever I'm feeling like there's a problem what I can't handle, and when we were talking earlier about that confidence thing, what running gives you, like, whenever I feel like there's a problem what I can't get round or something like that, having that quote in the back of my mind, thinking, I just keep plugging away.
Quote, isn't it? Yeah, I like it. I'll keep reading it.
I don't think it's his quote, but I think he's, adopted it from somewhere.
Yeah. But like I say, just on that, and obviously just having that there and just reading that, obviously you've explained pretty much everything to do with that. So going on to, obviously, like I said, with your dad and his influence to you, what is probably, the biggest influence he had on what changed you for the better? Because I know he's, like I say, I know him as a person. He was such a great man. I mean, I always remember the trip he took me out in the BM when he got the I8. Yeah. That was so good. Like, got in that and he's like razzing it around. But he was always such an open person. I think also we can bring your mum into this as well, and your brother, to be fair, because I think it's important to say as well, just talking about your family unit, is your mum and your brother have adopted running as well, aren't they, into their schedule? So it's like, it's actually a family tight unit sort of thing as well. So how was that like? I mean, even if you, like say, you want to bring them in, how has that really helped you as a person? Not just probably in coaching, but for yourself and even through your personality, like what's that brought on?
Yeah, so the things what I'm taking from my dad, he was a very accepting person, I think. I think he didn't really, he just took people for how they were, and he was just like, yeah, that's them, just leave them to it, yeah, no, you know what I mean? Like, he was just so accepting and so welcoming and generous. I remember there's so many times where we'd be out like at Spoons. I remember actually we won a load of money on Grand National. We won like $4,000 on my dad's. He put like, I think it was like 30 quid or something on 4 different horses, and they came in. I've got a video actually. We should put it on this. Yeah.
Yes, Jen! Come
And all these horses come in and we were like, oh my God, buzzing. So we went out to Spoons that night and we were just like buying everyone drinks. Yeah, get what you want. And then everyone come back to ours and then we got, went down to the shop, bought loads of drinks and we just had a bit of a do. But yeah, he was so generous. Yeah. And we just
you remember like when I used to come around to yours, obviously we were younger and like you'd have that like sort of shed on your back, didn't you? We used to come around for a drink and things like that. And he was just so nice with us, like always like dead well, hey, all right, up, oh yeah. Just talk, yeah, no problem. Like he's just such a nice bloke. And I think that does help as well, doesn't it? Because I always say with my journey as well, my family are amazing. And then I look at them and I think, I'm dead proud of my sisters, my mum, my dad, my step family as well, my aunties, uncles. I think that really does help you, doesn't it? From the perspective of your personality and how you build. Because you're around, them 80-90% of your life.
I'm so grateful to have like my mum and my dad growing up, like to have the upbringing that I did. Like I am very, very fortunate to have my mum and my dad as nice people as they are. Especially my mum now, like she does so much for me and Will. Me and Will sometimes go through it a little bit, and she's always there to talk us around. And it's a big stress on her, like losing my dad. Like it's been an absolute whirlwind the last 2 years. It's been, it's been crazy. It's something that you can never ever prepare for, and until it happens to you, you think you won't be able to deal with it, but then it does, and you're just like, oh shit, I've got to deal with this now. So.
Has it brought you and your mum closer, would you say?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. And I look out for her more, and I want to. Yeah, spend more time with her and just make sure that she's all right because we were a very tight knit family, very tight knit all his lives. We always went on family holidays and we've always done X, Y, Z together. And we're 2 down now. So I mean, anything that I can do to keep the family tight, I'll do it. So.
Sure, man. Yeah, and you do that, and I think that's what I mean. I think he'll be so proud of you, looking at what you've done for yourself, and that. Even with your mum as well. Like I always remember going into the house, and she's again so welcoming. Just always, do you want any food? Do you want a drink? Like it's always like that's just. And I keep saying it because I think that's something that I really strongly believe when people have that unit around them, it does make a big impact. It does completely support everything that you desire to then be because they're always on your shoulder helping you out, and that's what I mean. And even like I was like when I see you going out and running and your mum's doing her 5K run,
she kills it.
She's so
absolutely kills it. Yeah.
It makes me jealous.
She goes to park run and she's always trying to beat a PB at park run. But actually, when we get to park run, I'm like, "Are you PBing today?" She's like, "No, I can't do that. Couldn't do that." And then I see her on the start line and I see her like eyeing up with people, bang,
bouncing about, getting everyone.
Yeah. She's off, and then she comes through and she's like, I've PB. Yes.
Does it? I suppose then going back to that, your coaching and your running, does that really help you as well? Because she's seeing that your mum's getting enjoyment out of it as well. I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really coach my mum. Like, if I ever try and set her a session, she's just like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm all right. But yeah, she loves it. Will's doing special shout out to Will. Actually, he is on day 250 something.
He's like doing 5K a day.
5K every day.
200 and something. So what's that like? It's like,
mate, we've been out in like really wet weather and it's been horrendous.
When's he stopping?
I don't know. He wants to do a year.
Stop on a year.
Yeah, but
Christmas Day run as well.
Yeah,
so good.
Crazy.
Love that. But no, it's like I say, we're your family, mate, and I think that's a big part of your life. And like I said, talking about them, I think was important because they have, developed a son, I believe, in you who's really got that appreciation for what that means. And again, you put it into your coaching as a mate to me. You've always been dead supportive, and I think that's just touching on me a bit more personally. Like you've been there. Probably you yourself and Dan, who was on the last one, have been 2 mates who have been there through everything for me. And I've got nothing more to, I can't give you any more than thank you.
It's been so nice to see that like progression with your business and stuff like that, and for the point you're at now and the stuff that you're doing with this.
Yeah,
like it's fantastic because I don't really know anyone else in our area that's doing something like what you are, especially with stuff like this. Like it's fantastic.
Yeah, and this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring, pull it to life in a way to get people on who have got that mindset shift, because I think especially in today's world, just talking about I suppose more generic what the world looks like, it's very easy now, isn't it, to get them totally horrible influences, or suppose you read the news, it's always negative, things like that. And especially like the last one, I know you watched Danny's podcast, and mate, the inspiration I get off people like him and like yourself and everyone who's got that really wanting to improve mindset as much as possible. I wanted to bring that to life, and it's just nice to be able to get yourself out here and talk about that, because I think people's journeys, people won't know you unless they know you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So like people watching this now would like get a little bit about your family and what it's about, what you've gone through. And I think that's an important thing to get out in the world, and I want people to see that.
Yeah, I think when I mean, everyone has shit happen to them all the time, and I mean, mine was quite, life changing and big, having lost my dad pretty suddenly to a brain tumor. But I think it depends how you deal with it. Like, these things, they're not inevitable. They're not always going to happen. But when it does happen, it's definitely how you approach it and how you deal with it after that shapes your life. I think you can either sort of sit and be fed up about it for the rest of your life and really like, feel like a bit of a victim and lean into that victim mindset. Or you can go, right, what can we do now? What can we do to better this situation? So like when my dad passed, we did lots of charity work and stuff like that. And that was fulfilling, because it felt like we were making the best out of a bad situation, because at that point we were just like fed up. Do you know what I mean? Like the full family were just like down in dumps about it, and we didn't know how to approach it. Like we'd had a few deaths on my dad's side of the family, like a couple probably every year for the last couple of years, and so we knew what was sort of coming, but with it being my dad, like when it you never think it's going to happen to you, and then it does. So like you've got to do something about it. So we did lots of charity work, and we raised I think it was like nearly 11 grand, 10,500 for Sheffield Hospital's charity. We did loads of different fun runs. So we all did Sheffield Half Marathon, all the family and some of my friends and that. And then we did a costume run, which is basically like my mates come up with this idea actually. So basically like all my mates. I remember
you doing it.
Yeah. We all got like daft costumes. I dressed up as Spider-Man. We had all sorts of different costumes, and we set off from Eki Road, ran round town. I think it was on Bank Holiday weekend in these daft costumes, and just like attracted as much attention to ourselves as possible. But just doing daft stuff like that, like trying to make light out of a good out of a bad situation. Yeah. And then after that, we all got absolutely hammered in where were we? Nursery Tavern. Yeah, all still in his costume, so Spider-Man absolutely wobbling about everywhere.
No, it's class that you've made it into such a positive thing, and I think that's another thing what people I want to really get to grips with this podcast is anything that gets thrown your way. And I think as well, it's very important to say this, and I get quite deep about the subject, is as a human being, you're always going to experience bad things. You never can get away from that. But I think the biggest thing you can do is you can use it as fuel. In two ways. You can have a fuel that you want to be even worse, and really go downhill, let it be a problem all the time. Or you can do
about it all the time.
Exactly. Or you can do what I believe every guest I brought on here to do is put it into something.
And don't get me wrong, like I have days where I'm moaning about it.
You're gonna.
Yeah,
like I don't think you can't ever get away from that. But what I mean is overall, you're really trying to put it into something positive, and you're trying to put that energy into.
And that's why running's played such a big part in my life, because it's given me that purpose to, if I'm feeling crap or if I'm feeling down about my dad or something like that, it's just given me something to always look at and something to always get my head stuck into. Say if work's knackering me or something like that, then the things that I don't enjoy, I'm not enjoying.
Yeah.
Then running is something that I always have enjoyed. So it's always something that I can revert back to, and that's going to keep me sane, basically.
Yeah, we've always
got. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think your dad would be proud of you?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, and I think so. I hope so, yeah.
I think so, mate. I think you really will. And I think as well with your mum and your brother and everyone around you can see that, that unit is just so good. And
I am super good at that, because he's not seen me do sub 3. He's not going to see me, maybe hopefully get married and have kids, and he's not going to see me with the business and stuff like that.
I've really looked down on you, though. I think like that, everyone, there's a reason for these achievements working out for you, and the things I always think are meant to be, especially when you go at them properly, and people like that, and they'll never go away. Like your dad will always be with you, and he'll always be there to look down on you and support you in the bad times, because I think that's really, really important thing to reference and always go back to and go, right, when he was here, what would he have wanted for me? And what will he want for me now?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure nothing will ever be negative for you.
In our house, like, if there's ever something I don't know, something needs fixing or something, we'd go, what would Dad do? What would Dad do? And then that sort of leads us onto the right path. Or like, if I'm trying to make an odd decision and I'm really like struggling with it, I'd be thinking, what would be my dad's logic in this? And sometimes his logic was stupid. But I have to try and differentiate that. But normally he was very clever. So
love that. Yeah. So just to finish off, mate, it's been class. I've really enjoyed just listening to you. I mean, I know you a bit better, but like obviously hearing this one, what you're talking about now, you talk about it so passionately. It's such a good thing. I've learned a lot about running as well, just from yourself. Just wanted to sort of finish it off with some quick fire questions. So I'd like to do this with everyone. Did it with Danny on the last one. So I just wanted to ask you some inspiring closing questions, if you can. So the first one being, just think about whatever comes to your head, by the way. So what's the biggest truth you've learned about yourself through everything you've been through? Biggest truth.
That's a good one.
Biggest truth you've learned about yourself through everything you've been through.
Biggest truth. I would say that I'm probably. I would like to think that I'm capable of more than what I thought I originally was, because, and that just doesn't apply to like progression with running. I think that I'm talking about like getting through harder times, like when we were in hospital and stuff, and it were all unfolding with my dad. It were almost like an out of body experience, because you're going through like a really rough time. You think, if someone else told me about this, I wouldn't know how they got through it.
Yeah.
But being there and doing it and then getting through it, it makes you think, oh, that's how you do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You've hit a realization point, haven't you? Like, you know how that feels now.
Yeah.
And I think that's important though, because I always say that people need to go through tough times to come out of the other end.
If you go through nothing tough in your life,
I don't think you can be like that.
Be vanilla.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
That's a good way of putting it. No, that was a brilliant answer, mate. And second one, so if someone listening feels lost or stuck, what's the first step you'd tell them to take?
Start running. Lost or stuck, take a step back, take a break, do something what's going to make you feel good about yourself. And I'll always tell anyone this: book a race, book something what's going to make you feel proud of yourself, because you prove to yourself, I'm capable of something. It might not have to be a race. It could just be a goal, a challenge, something that you want to get your head down.
Achieve,
something to achieve. Like if it's a new venture, I want to study for something, learn a language, out like that. Get into something, prove to yourself that you're capable.
Yeah, love that. Leads me nicely on the next one. So what does living with purpose mean to you now?
That's a good one.
Good at these, aren't I?
Yeah. Living with purpose. I think living with purpose to me is just consistency and having a goal, trying to achieve it, and just trying to enjoy the journey of being consistent with it. Because I think you've got to have a purpose to live by. You've got to have something to get stuck into. Otherwise, your life probably feels a bit vanilla.
Oh yeah.
So I think it drives us as humans. You with your business, I know that's massively your purpose. Me with mine and running and stuff like that. Be like, if you've got something that you're obsessed over and passionate about, get stuck into it, double down on it. And
I think there's no better time to do that.
It's so
as well,
rewarding,
Like, especially nowadays, like with what's going on in the world, like you've literally got access to everything from, all that online persona you can have, and you can build something from the ground up, can't you? If you really want it, you can do it.
I were talking to Matty Cummins about this when we did the AJ.
He's mad, isn't he?
This is what I'm saying. So this has inspired me a little bit, because he was like, you need to start posting on socials a bit more and do this, do that. And he's flying.
Yeah, I know.
He's absolutely flying. Yeah. So like seeing what he's done for himself,
Yeah, that can build into that, can't it? Nice one. So last one, mate. I think this is a perfect one to end on. It might get a bit emotional, so I hope it doesn't.
No, go for it. Let's do it.
When you think about your dad and granddad, what part of their legacy do you want to carry forward?
Oh, that's a good one. With my granddad, the sense of fun what he had with me, because me and my granddad were close when I was little. Obviously, living next door to my mum, and my dad used to go to work, and I used to spend a lot of time with my granddad, and we always just used to have so much like wholesome lad fun. You know what I mean? Like going to Rother Valley, getting mucky, just knocking football about, all that sort of stuff. So just having that sense of just fun basically. That's what I take from my granddad, and from my dad, I think there's so much I could take, but probably the quote obviously is massive, and I don't know. There's so much there.
Just be proud to sort of be like him.
Yeah. I think his sense of adventure. That's what I'd take, because when we were at his funeral, all his work friends were saying whenever they used to go away to different countries, my dad would always be the one who'd be like, no, let's go and see this, let's go and see that, let's explore. And like, I'm trying to lean into that a little bit more and
he's a doer.
He's a doer, and he just wants to see stuff, and he wants to just, get involved with stuff and just see what the crack is, basically. Yeah. So I think that's what I take from my dad, his sense of adventure and just...
Good old Sheffield turn to finish on, see what the crack is.
Yeah,
I like it. Mate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, honestly. Thank you for everyone obviously watching. I'm
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Obviously delighted to bring you, George. He's a great lad, and hopefully you can take a lot from this. And if you want to get into running, he's your man. All right. Thank you. See you all again.
Cheers, Oppo. Appreciate it, man.
Loved it.
Brilliant.
Well done, mate. Good stuff.
Awesome.
What was that? Enjoy it.
Good,
You're on a roll then.
Yeah, that was solid. I really enjoyed that.